KMOX News.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Well, hello, everybody. How are we doing? How are things? It is a beautiful time to be a sports fan. It's a bit of a cloudy day here in St. Louis. We will get things rolling here with Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. We are live until noon. And coming up at 2 o'clock, it is pregame for the Chiefs and the Bills. Scott Jagow, who you just heard doing the news, is a huge Bills fan. And as a fan of a team, you know that the next 5 hours are going to be where he distracts himself. He's going to try to find something to do, a news story to do. He'll be doing news at the top of the hour. This is a big day for him. Chiefs-Bills is a big game. Biggest NFL game we've had so far. We'll have it on KMOX 325 kickoff. I think the Bills will win it. I think the Chiefs are really, really good. I think that they get... like they're 9-0 team and sort of a shell of their former selves. Actually, I look at it a lot differently. I think the Chiefs have redefined who they are, and they are a very good defensive team that will find a way to beat you. They grind it out. They play tough, and they just see how long you'll be able to take it. And yes, it took a missed field goal by the Broncos to get that win to go and stay undefeated, but they're very capable of finding winning ways. They have a brilliant coach. They have a brilliant quarterback. All that said, I think the Bills win it today, and the Bills have to win it. If the Chiefs win this game today, they will have home field, I think, through the playoffs. I think they'll be in the driver's seat, and that means that the road to the Super Bowl will go through Arrowhead Stadium if the Chiefs pull off this win today. That's what I think will eventually happen. So it becomes a huge game for the Bills. They've got to protect home field and get the win. I think that they will, but we'll have our NFL picks at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. Meantime, on this show today, we have a ton to get to. We have college football, which is right now at its peak. I just love what we're seeing out of college football these days. I don't know that we are in for, we've had a better season. You know, I mean, when you think about all the bowl games that were played that were meaningless, or all the teams that were knocked out by this time of year, now you have 20 teams, like 20 teams that think they can still get into this 12-team college football playoff. And they're right. There will be some SEC teams that will get knocked out. It's going to be a shame for a lot of these teams, but they're going to get knocked out. There are going to be some 2-loss SEC teams. As it stands, the way I see it, we'll talk to Tom Hart about this in a few minutes. The way I see this right now, Tennessee's on the outside, and they lost to who? You know? I mean, they lost to Arkansas on the road, and they lost to Georgia on the road. But they are going to be on the outside looking in, and Georgia basically just took their spot because BYU with one loss still would be hanging around. Boise State's got to get in as a non-power 4. You have to give the 4 conference champions a bye. So the SEC will get one, the Big Ten will get one, the ACC will get one. Who knows who that'll be? Miami, SMU. Those 2 teams look really good. I think nobody talks about SMU. The Big 12. You know, you got BYU just lost to Kansas. You got a really good and surging Colorado team right now that I don't think anybody would want to play the way that they're playing if they're healthy. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. It's going to be fascinating here. The SEC you can't cram 7 SEC teams into the 12. That's not happening. The Big Ten's got 4 of the top 5. 3 of those teams. So Oregon, let's say, wins the Big Ten, so they get a first round bye if they win the Big Ten championship. That means you would probably have 3 teams that are seeded 5, 6, and 7, pretty much. Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana. And then you have to fit in everybody else. I mean, there are going to be some good teams left out of this thing. So we'll sort it all out with Tom Hart. But I find that fascinating. One team that's not going to be in there is Missouri. Missouri gave a good fight yesterday, but lost to South Carolina 34-30 and just got torched by the quarterback for South Carolina, Sellers. He ate them up, 5 touchdown passes in the ball game. They didn't tackle very well. They didn't defend very well, and that's a shame for them. They could not pull a rabbit out of the hat for the 5th time. They did it against BC. They did it against Vanderbilt, did it against Auburn, did it against Oklahoma. This time around, almost did it again, but South Carolina protects home field and gets the win by a final of 34-30. So they're out. South Carolina has 3 losses. So does Missouri, but Missouri will drop out of the college football playoff rankings. South Carolina will nudge themselves up from 21, but they're a long shot. Illinois won over Michigan State 38-16. College basketball, we'll have Josh Schertz at 10:30 today. Talk to him. We will talk to him, and I did his game last night. So did Bob Ramsey on the radio side. Good win for SLU, but they need to figure out how to close games out better, and he'll get into that a little bit. But I think it's a really good basketball team with Gibbs and Jimerson and Isaiah Swope in the backcourt, and they don't even have Robbie Avila yet, and they looked good offensively yesterday. 77-71 over Loyola Marymount with former SLU coach Lorenzo Romar in the house. He's an assistant for Loyola Marymount. It was nice to see him. Also in college basketball yesterday, Missouri State, Conzo Martin gets a win at home against Tulsa in triple overtime, 111-106. SIUE also won, beating Canisius. We at 10:45 will go into the Blues dressing room and hear from the players and Coach Drew Bannister. They win over the Bruins 3-2 in overtime on a Braden Schenner winner, and then they play today against a really good Carolina team at 4 o'clock. Larry Fitzgerald will join us at 11:15, one of the all-time great NFL wide receivers, 11-time Pro Bowler. He is going to be awarded this Saturday at the Musial Awards, receiving an award for sportsmanship. We'll talk to Larry at 11:15. At 11:30, John Mozeliak. The Cardinals have a lot of decisions to make, a lot of players who are walking away into free agency, and we'll dive into that with Mo. Mo always tells us he does not talk about free agents. But what we do is we talk about the business and what he is trying to do, and you have to listen closely, and he does reveal strategy, philosophy in those conversations. He's always straightforward with us, I feel, in those conversations. Bernie Miklasz, you know he's straightforward at 11:45. He's going to let you have it at the final end of the show. We'll talk about a lot of things with him. So that's fun. SLU men's soccer team plays in about 45 minutes. They take on Dayton in the A10 final at Dayton. If they win it, they're in the NCAA tournament. The SLU women's soccer team, will find out later today who they're going to play in the second round, either USC or Sacramento State. Those 2 teams are squaring off this afternoon. So there you have it. A ton of things to do here on the show today. We're going to dive right into it. We'll take a break. Tom Hart from the SEC Network and ESPN joins us next on KMOX.
The voice of St. Louis. News that matters to you. KMOX.
Royal Banks of Missouri is your community bank with locations throughout St. Louis, St. Charles, Northeast Missouri, Granite City, and Jerseyville, Illinois. A bank branch is not far away. Royal Banks brings in experienced staff and products and services designed to meet your professional and personal financial needs. Investing in our communities, one client at a time. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, and equal opportunity lender. Looking for a new home or to refinance your current mortgage? Royal Banks of Missouri wants to be your home buying partner. With a local staff that will guide you through the process, Royal Banks is an experienced mortgage lender that you can trust. There's still time to lock in on a low rate. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Member FDIC and equal opportunity lender.
For the past 3 seasons of Gone South, we've covered one story per season. Now, Gone South is back for a 4th season. But this time, we're doing things a little differently. In Gone South Season 4, we'll be bringing you news stories every week with no end in sight. Listen to and follow Gone South, an Odyssey original podcast, on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a car wreck, you need the best. Onder Law, voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis. We know how to handle the insurance companies, and we'll make sure you're compensated for physical, emotional, and financial injuries. Let us make your case our cause. Car accident? Call Onder Law today for a free review. 314 or 618-9 million. That's 314 or 618-9 all zeros.
When you want to make junk disappear, leave it where it is. I've got a partner who lives down the street from you, and we're anxious to come to your rescue. It doesn't matter what we have to climb over, walk through, or move out of the way. All you have to do is point.
We make space for possibilities.
We'll find a new family who'll love the items that still have value, even if it is sentimental value.
There's someone out there who will love it, and we'll find them.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
You're going to be amazed at how fast we get there.
Woohoo! Another girls' night out.
I'm so stressed from shopping. I couldn't find anything.
Have you tried shopping jewelry television, JTV?
I don't know. Everyone in my family is so different.
JTV has thousands of jewelry styles, artisan, diamonds, pearls, colored gemstones, watches, even gift sets. I shop on TV and online.
New JTV customers save up to $40 when you shop jtv.com/radio.
Now, can you relax?
Yes. Another round?
Yes.
What do you call the NordVPN Black Friday deal, huh? The Block Friday deal. Because you block online threats. Black Friday, Block Friday. Get it? It's hilarious. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal and block online threats now. NordVPN will encrypt your online traffic. Its threat protection pro tool will defend you against web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. Get the special Black Friday deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
I can't wait. First, I got to turn my mic on. I can't wait to talk to my buddy Tom Hart about some college football, the voice of college football on SEC Network, ESPN. And he actually had the Mizzou games the last 2 weeks joining us on KMOX. Always good to have you back, Tom. What's going on?
Tom, thanks for having me. Just kind of reliving that wild game last night. I just got a text that when South Carolina took that lead late, it actually registered on the seismograph in the Columbia area. The entire stadium was shaking, and wow. I think it's a testament, just not just the wildness of that game, but how much this sport means in this league. Like, it defines people's weeks, that's for sure, if not their entire years. And that was fun to be a part of another good one.
Yeah, when you register on a seismograph, that is pretty impressive. How do you let me ask you this before we get into Mizzou. Tell me the loudest SEC stadiums for you. South Carolina, underrated. I have not been to a game there. I'll tell you mine. For me, the loudest I've ever experienced is LSU. LSU, I saw them play Bama on a Saturday night. It was unbelievable. How about for you?
Yeah, I think any SEC stadium, and I don't want to be a Nick Saban and rule out Vanderbilt and then have them come back and beat my team like they did when Vandy beat Bama. But Vandy, because of its size and because the opposition usually takes over the stadium, is kind of in its own category, right? But any of them can be elite for a big game. So I kind of try to judge them on what you would think of as an average game. And so I think last night, a conference matchup, they're ranked, but it's not a top 10 matchup. That's kind of an average game in the SEC. South Carolina is incredibly underrated, but when you understand the history of their program, you appreciate it a little bit more. Before the Panthers came along, there was no pro football within 3 hours of South Carolina. I mean, the Falcons didn't come around till the 60s. So that was their professional football, and it's a huge stadium. I mean, it seats almost 90,000, I think. But because of the steepness of it, it looks very much like an NFL stadium. So I would have South Carolina there. Texas A&M is a different level because that's a different school. Like, the synchronicity with that fan base is something that's a little bit different because of the yell leaders and the Corps cadets and the band. So that's different enough to stand out. And Tennessee is incredibly loud because of the size and the shape of that stadium. But you can't go wrong with LSU. You can't go wrong with Alabama. Texas has a much better game day environment now than they did over the last, 30 years because they've turned it into less of a wine and cheese crowd and more of an SEC crowd. So Man, there's a lot of great ones. And when you play at night under the lights and you give everybody all day to, get lubricated, it kind of takes it to another level.
You're absolutely right. My wife and I went to the Iron Bowl and saw Auburn lose that 4 overtime game to Bama. Auburn has an unbelievable atmosphere, but of course it's the Iron Bowl. I mean, like you said, it's a big game. It's going to be wound up, but I know that place gets wound up. I went to Georgia one time and saw them, and it was great. But, they played Marshall. I mean, I kind of wonder what would it be like if they played Tennessee or Bama, or, what would it be like in here? So you're right. It does depend on circumstance, the game that you're attending. You've seen 2 great ones, South Carolina and the Oklahoma game. I was at the Oklahoma game. It was absolutely bananas. They pull it out, and I started to figure this is Missouri's identity. I was wondering, what is Missouri? What do they hang their hat on? They hang their hat on pulling games out, and they almost did it last night. Again, it would have been the 5th time that they pulled out a close game in the end, but it wasn't to be. South Carolina pulls it off. I wanted to ask you about Eli Drinkwitz. He has been named the MAC Sports Personality of the Year. He's going to be the Missouri Athletic Club's top sports personality for 2024. Now, you have to count the Ohio State win there. So he started on a high note, and then he's 7-3. When you take a step back and look at his body of work, is it impressive what he's been able to do the last 2 years? How do you evaluate the Missouri program these last 2 seasons?
Well, I think the first thing you start with is the Cotton Bowl win. Because it wasn't just a New Year's Six win, but it came against a traditional power opponent that everyone can relate to. Everybody knows what Ohio State football represents. So that was a watershed moment for Eli Drinkwitz, especially a guy who a couple of years ago, just kind of came limping into the season. And I think at least to this point, his legacy will be remembered by what he's done recruiting, and specifically St. Louis. And we had this long conversation, and I asked him about it before the Oklahoma game because Luther Burden was originally committed to Oklahoma. And I said, listen, not only did you get an elite player, but it seemed to kind of change the trajectory of the program when you got him. I said, what did that flip represent in your mind? And he said, well, this was a program that needed hope. And he represented that hope. It got our staff excited. It got our campus excited. It obviously got the entire state excited and behind him. And I remember talking, to my friends, my Mizzou buddies at the time, and they were all in on Eli Drinkwitz as a recruiter. And to me, to build a program in this modern age, you can't only be a recruiter of young men. You also have to be a recruiter of donors and Fortune 500 companies and backers and your athletic director. And he is magnificent at that. Magnificent. And so, and I even asked him about that. I mean, we could have recorded it and made a television show out of it. But I said, how do you recruit these people? And he said, well, you can't be, this answer stuck with me. He said, you can't be afraid to tell them what you need. And Missouri needed to spend money and have money at its disposal. And obviously the state law that they got changed put them ahead of pace. But in this day and age, you've got to be able to go out and spend money. I mean, it's no different than DeWitt and the Cardinals. Like, you've got to have a payroll that allows you to compete. Otherwise, it's just wishing and hoping. And those usually don't turn out too well.
Well said. Tom Hart, ESPN and SEC Network, with us on KMOX. The college football playoff, Missouri is not going to be a part of it, but I'm counting right now 18, maybe more teams involved here. So you're talking about a half dozen teams that are going to be upset like Florida State was last year. Now you're going to have a lot more people complaining, but that's probably a good thing. I mean, you got a lot of teams involved. I don't know how you're going to cram them all in. How do you see this thing, Tom? 4 of the top 5 are Big Ten teams. The conference that you cover closely, the SEC, has easily a half dozen teams involved here. And who knows what's going to happen, all these 2-loss teams.
You wouldn't be paying extra attention to it because of what's happening in Bloomington, Indiana, would you?
You know what? I always do pay attention to it, but I'll tell you, it is kind of nice to be sitting here on November 17th and be happy about basketball, but thrilled about the fact that it's my text to my friends was, hey, did you see Miles Rice at point guard last night? It's Ohio State week, boys.
Yeah. And think about, let's just think about it from an Indiana perspective, because Indiana could be any traditional second or third tier school at any power conference, right? And in years past, the Ohio State game would dictate whether or not they were still alive. And this Ohio State game for them could have been played in September, right? And they could have been eliminated in September in a 4-team playoff or the BCS. But now, yes, you think, man, let's keep the house money and let's play for everything and let's beat Ohio State and let's play for a Big Ten championship. But even with the loss, you're still in the conversation. And I rolled my eyes at the critics who said, well, you're devaluing the regular season. To an extent, you are sometimes devaluing the do or die in specific games that matter in that moment. But what you're doing is, to your point, when you still have 20-ish teams alive in the race on November 17th, you have so many more games that matter. You have so many more teams that are included. And I'm not sure exactly how the 12-team playoff is going to play out. And I don't know if we're going to be in a scenario where, the top 4 teams just run roughshod and the top 4 seeds. I don't anticipate it'll just be chalk. I anticipate there's going to be some upsets. And I hope that's the case, because I think that's what makes March Madness special. And we could have our own version of that in college football, which we frankly have not had. Outside of random regular season upsets and the crazy finish to the 2007 season, where both Missouri and West Virginia and other teams had a chance to play for a title and petered it away on the last day, which allowed a multi-loss LSU team to play for a national title. Usually that doesn't happen. So I still think, to your original question, I still think it's too early, because there will be more chaos, and it'll be both chaos and cannibalism. Because I think in the Big 12, you could see cannibalism. In the ACC, you could see cannibalism, and only their champion get in. But it's still too early to tell, because of the number of 2-loss teams in the SEC. And if that stays, not necessarily will, but if that stays, then you're going to have some heartbroken teams, like Tennessee, for example. And I took part in the college football playoff mock selection with Ward Manuel, who's the athletic director of Michigan, and Rich Clark, who's the committee chair. And what I found in that experience about 6 weeks ago is they truly value strength of schedule. But it's not necessarily the way I would do it, because I think you have to value specific games. It's a small enough sample size, 13 games, 12 games. You can pinpoint certain games, but they kind of go, and this may not be good for your Hoosiers, they seem to lean on that big all-encompassing number that is strength of schedule over the course of the entire season, when I think you can really dial in on what are your key wins, what are your bad losses, and go from there. But we still don't know. And when you see playoff predictions, keep in mind they're trying to predict how a room of 12 people is going to act when the chips are on the table. So I don't put much weight in those predictions at all.
Yeah, it's all very interesting, no doubt about it. Before we go, who do you have coming up this weekend? Which game are you calling?
We got Vanderbilt at LSU Saturday night. So We'll see how the Brian Kelly experiment continues.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, they are not pleased down there, that's for sure. Florida knocks off LSU 27-16. Tom Hart, really great catching up with you. Have a great rest of your season, but we'll stay in touch with you for sure. Always like talking college football with you, my friend.
Tom, great to be on with you. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Tom Hart, ESPN and SEC Network, breaking down some college football for us. Josh Schertz, head coach of the Billikens, coming up next on KMOX.
Here's something on the Chris and Amy show you want to talk about?
Amy, tolerate your laugh, but not your singing. Stay in your lane, girl.
Got something to say?
Hi, Chris and Amy. This is TJ from Illinois. Amy, love you to death. Ron, he's more of a curmudgeon.
It's easy to do. Use the Odyssey app, click the microphone, and leave your message for Chris and Amy.
Chris and Amy, love the show. Listen to it every day.
Weekdays beginning at 10 on KMOX. KMOX Weekend at your service. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to the practice. He joins Doctors Birdie, Malhotra, Brasati, and Royer as the Doctors' Doctors. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Honey, bags are packed and in the trunk. Is the car good to drive to Mother's holiday dinner?
Yes, dear. Car's good. We have Ox Car Care for their extended car service plan. Ox covers our repair bills if anything happens. We have no worries if any problems come up on our holiday travels. Ox Car Care has our back.
I remember. Ox has flexible coverage plans that can protect issues with engine, transmission, brake systems, and so much more.
Yep, we don't pay. Ox pays. Ox gets it fixed for us. Joe at the auto shop says Ox Car Care pays them directly, and there's no complicated paperwork. Ox is A+ rated, with already millions of dollars paid out in claims.
Right. They handled our claim from start to finish, unlike those other companies. Good call. The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill this holiday. The only thing now is, which pie is Aunt Martha making?
Drive with absolute peace of mind this holiday season. Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-221-6319. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox today. 800-221-6319. 800-221-6319 or oxcarcare.com.
My best friend Jimmy came over for coffee. Said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jimmy Kelly because they're open till 8. JimmyKelly.com. They'll be here quick and have you feeling good. JimmyKelly.com. Because your furnace will be running like it should. They're certified technicians, I've been told. Will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold. JimmyKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JimmyKelly.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Jimerson pops from the wing. Bang! Gibson, Jimerson hits another one. Yes. Movement. He's got 14 to lead all score.
Bob Ramsey, Earl Austin Jr. with the call in KMOX last night. Movement without the ball and the ability to put the ball in the hole. Gibson Jimerson, in his 6th year, is now the 3rd leading scorer in Billiken history. He's already their all-time three-point shooter. The Billikens win the game 77-71, 23 for Jimerson, 23 for Isaiah Swope, and a happy coach. Coach Josh Schertz joins us on KMOX. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Tom. How you doing?
Doing great. Our visit with Josh Schertz, sponsored by Royal Banks of Missouri. I was there last night calling it on the TV side. Entertaining game. I know that we're going to get into this a little bit. You're not exactly thrilled at how it was closed by your team.
Right. Well, you had a tough night. You had to carry Troy for 2 hours, so I don't envy. You had the hardest job in the building, so which was good. But no, we and look, we did a lot of good things to put ourselves in position to win the game. There's no question about that. We had really good pockets of the game, but last 7-8 minutes was pretty unacceptable. Too many breakdowns on both ends, and just didn't close it well. And I think there's a lot to be learned from that, gleaned from that. And it's always, you got to learn and grow through every experience, but it's always better to learn and grow through wins than it is losses. But we certainly got to take some things back from that. And look at it as coaches and players and, what can we do different? Where can we get better? But again, a lot of good things over 33, 34 minutes to put us in position. And then even down the stretch, some big stops, Gibson with a huge three to close it. and got ourselves across the finish line against a good team.
Yeah, and Swope was awesome. Now he is running point and handling the ball a ton. And I know when Robbie Avila is in there as your trigger man, you are doing a lot of different things with the trigger. So maybe he's holding the ball a little bit longer than normal. I'm just trying to go back and review in my mind why that lead got away. You would have a much better grasp on this than me. But in my review, shot selection, maybe a couple of careless decisions here and there. I mean, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, there was a variety of things. I mean, we had in that stretch, we had a few good looks. I don't want to discount that didn't go in. Josiah, had 2 great looks that we want him taken, missed them. Gibson had 1 or 2 really good looks that didn't go in, and then a couple shots that I'd like to have back that I thought were, questionable shot selection. And the biggest thing was 8 turnovers in those final, 7-8 minutes. Just too many empty possessions where we didn't get a shot off, and whether that's trying to make a home run play, trying to do something more than what's there. We've got to be better. And, I've got to look at everything. We're trying to get, with this group, closing is you're trying to figure it out. Obviously, in a normal scenario, the game at the end of the game, I don't want to make it bigger than it is, but certainly it slows down. And when it gets close late, you got to figure out it becomes more half court and, a little more of, targeting or putting your best players in spots to make plays. And, we've got to do a better job. And that's, Isaiah knows he's got to be better in those closing situations. He wasn't in them a ton last year. We closed at Indiana State with Ryan and with Robbie together, usually in a 2-man game. We don't have a 2-man game right now with the current roster makeup. So we got to figure out and manipulate things a little more, but I got to do a better job of putting guys in position, and we got to do a better job of taking care of the ball. And then defensively, just too many breakdowns. We had a big rebound late. They're trying to foul us. We turn and throw it right to them, leads to a 3. We give up a layup, 2 layups late, one on a zone press. We're going in the zone and they dribble 94 feet and lay it in. So there's a lot on both ends when you have a lead that big and it gets that close that go wrong. And we've got to look to, go back and correct it. The win doesn't minimize or negate the last 6-7 minutes. And the last 6-7 minutes doesn't negate a lot of the good things we did either. We got to learn and grow through both.
Yeah, I totally hear that. I'm going to get into a couple of positive things that I saw, but I had a question about McCautry. What happened there? He's a freshman, so was he making some mistakes that you just didn't enjoy, and he didn't play in the second half?
Yeah, it was just nothing with Amari. And obviously I love him. I love his talent. He's had some loose turnovers in a game like that, and I went to Josiah late in the first half, and I thought Josiah played with a good pop, good burst. Thought he put some pressure on the rim, and so second half I went back to Josiah. I didn't think Kobe looked a little bit tentative, maybe just the shoulder, I'm not sure, but he wasn't playing with much force or pop. I thought out of those 3, Josiah was last night the most impactful guy. Got downhill, touch paint. Thought he did a pretty good job defensively, and so it was good to see from Joe. And if Josiah wasn't playing well, I would have gone back with Amari. But I thought Amari was a little loose with the ball for sure in the first half. Had a couple plays he could have made on drives to make plays for others. Had a couple turnovers, and Joe. I thought last night, and they're trying to play it in a one. All we're doing is playing to win the game last night. Joe gave us the best chance to win last night.
Billikens win it by a final of 77-71. Kalu Anya, I had no idea that he had that kind of ability to distribute. This guy's dishing assists. This guy's dishing assists left and right.
Yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see. Kalu's made some really good passes. I thought he was obviously terrific. He's a guy that can, has a unique skill set. We got to get him doing some things better. He's got to get in the seams better. He's got to attack the ball in the read spot better so he can finish some of those plays. He's got to make free throws. But his rebounding, I thought he made some great passes last night. His defense was fantastic. Guarded everybody on the floor 1 through 5. Switched and made things difficult. I thought his post D was great. I thought, his offensive rebounding down the stretch, along with Gibson's shot, closed the game. Like that possession from, when we got the ball back with whatever 145, 150 left, and Gibson made the three with whatever 50-some seconds on the clock. I mean, that was Kalu going and getting multiple offensive rebounds. And so having a night like that with, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, what he did defensively, invaluable. And now we got to continue to help him like all the guys. He's got to grow in, understanding how to get in the seams and play more in the seams. He's got to, like I said, attack the catches in the read spot, finish those plays, and he's got to make free throws. But he did a lot of good. You talk about a guy who was impactful and winning. He touched and put his fingerprints on that game on both ends of the floor through his passing, his rebounding, getting downhill. He did a lot of things to help our team last night for sure.
Absolutely. A Kellen Thames type game, he did a lot of different things. And you've got a nice looking team here. And we all know that it could look even better with Robbie Avila. If this comes together for you with Robbie as the maestro, let's say, of this symphony, this orchestra, it could be a lot of fun. What is the latest on Robbie? How is he feeling? And what are the next steps here?
Yeah, so he's doing, he did a little bit of a jog on they call it the anti-gravity. So it's just like, it takes the pressure off the joint, but you can run. You just obviously takes the weight off. So it's a little bit different, but he did that yesterday. Hasn't done anything on the court yet. They're working on flexion, range of motion. There's all these different things that he's got to get to before he can start, on the court running and cutting and, and jumping and those type of things. So the hope is, he's in there this morning. I know he's meeting with a medical team. He does it on, he'll be there this morning working with them. And then we'll have an idea tomorrow of kind of, all right, this is where he is. These are the benchmarks he's got to hit. And, the North Star was always the Wichita State game. I don't know that's going to be, that's, 18 days from when he sprained it in South Dakota. So that's, a quicker timeline. The last time he was back in 28 days playing, he was back on the court in 25 days. So it'd basically be a 10-day, advance. If he misses it, he misses it. There's obviously we want him back. I mean, he's without question, our best player and, makes a lot of what we do go on both ends of the floor. And we kind of put the roster, around him and his ability to do things and that closing time. He's about as good as it is, in that critical offense deal. But, he's got to be healthy. There's a difference in return to play and return to performance. We want him to be out there healthy. He can't just come back and hobble out there. So, it'll take what it takes. The hope is I still, have hope that he can be ready for Friday. But I would certainly, I wouldn't bet any money on that. I think we got to see how he does this week. And if he misses that one, then there's a chance that it, depending on how it goes, just because we play, I think 3 games in 5 or 6 days, that, it would maybe be, December 2nd against Jackson State would maybe be the next window, unless I'm, wrong and there's something in between. But it'd be hard to see if he can't be ready to go the 22nd, that he could be ready to go the 25th or 27th without any practice.
It is Josh Schertz, the head coach of the Billikens. A couple of things left for him. That is a late start, a 9:30 tip on Friday night against Wichita State, kind of like one of those late night NCAA tournament games. That's how I look at it. We'll have it on KMOX, of course. How is Wichita State? What are you going up against here?
I think, so far, I think the best team we've played by a pretty good margin, undefeated right now. They got Monmouth. I think tomorrow, if they win that at home, they'll be 4-0 going in. But they won on the road, won a big one at Western Kentucky. They're a really good basketball team. They've done a good job, well coached, talent, got dynamic guards, good, decent size. They're physical, explosive, really good offensive team. Can guard you, beat you up on the glass a little bit. So I think, we've, certainly have the first 4. That'll be our stiffest challenge to date. I think we got a lot of really good games in this first semester, but in those first 4, there's no question. Friday night in Kansas City will be the highest line in terms of what we've got to get to. The biggest, they'll challenge us more than anybody has here. These first 3.
And then finally, can you give us an overview of these 3 signees that you announced this past week? Luke Leskowski, Cam Hudson, and Jax Kerr. Who are we going to see here?
Yeah, we're really excited about these 3 freshmen. We want to do this. We've always been a development program. We want to remain that, where guys come in and, we bring them along, they get better. These 3 guys, fit us really, really well. Cam Hudson, was a guy I watched this summer, really, really love his game. He's 6'6", really good athlete, got the right kind of body, similar to Amari's, where he's got the size. He's more of a wing than Amari, but he can handle the basketball. He shoots the three really well, but physical, confrontational driver, has great defensive versatility, and is a guy we think could be a star. Luke Laskowski, 6'8", unbelievable instincts, elite shooter, has elite cutting instincts. I think he just fits our system really well. He understands how to play, highest level shooter with terrific instincts defensively. Has the same instincts. He knows where to be. He's in the right places. He's got a good toughness, really cerebral, high IQ, high processing guy, and with an elite skill and a skill we really value. And then Jax Kerr, I think he's kind of the prototype for, what the game is becoming. He's the guy that has great mobility and shot blocking. He's a center. He's skinny. He's got to, continue to put on strength and weight, but he's got this, mobility, and he's a terrific shot blocker. Got really long arms, 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. And then he steps out and he shoots over 40% from three. And so he protects the paint and clogs the paint on one end. And then he's got the ability with his shooting gravity to open the paint up for drives and has that, the ability to step out and really shoot the basketball at a high level. So super excited about all three guys. They're guys that fit the system. They fit the culture, what we want Billiken basketball to be. And we think, with some of the young guys we have in the program, we're going to be able to really build with these guys as we go forward. But all three can shoot at a high level. All three are great kids, great teammates, and really good competitors. So could not be more excited to add those guys to the fold.
It'll be a lot of fun to follow their journey. And as always, we follow the Billikens' journey, and they have a game on Friday night at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, 9:30 on Friday night as they take on Wichita State. Coach Josh Schertz with us. Fun game last night, Coach. Thanks, as always, for being with us.
I appreciate you having me on, as always, and look forward to seeing you guys Friday night. Make sure you get your nap in so we're all awake for the tip and ready to go through and to an 11:30 finish. So hopefully the fans, everybody does as well. So we look forward to hopefully having a great group travel and should be a whale of a basketball game.
Absolutely. Be well and good luck. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks. Have a great night.
Josh Schertz, you too. Josh Schertz with us on KMOX's Sports on a Sunday morning. We are the home of the Billikens. We will take a break. We'll come back and get into what happened to the Blues yesterday. Good win for them. And we'll preview their game today against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Blues won it in overtime over the Bruins. When have they gone into Boston before and pulled out a victory? Yeah, no, it's tradition. We'll be back after this on KMOX.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan from McKelvey Homes. This month, we're giving $18,980 off our homes in selected communities to celebrate 126 years of legendary quality and craftsmanship. In addition, our skilled craftsmen from the Mid-America Carpenters Union are offering McKelvey buyers up to $10,000 cash towards their new home for closing costs or lower interest rates. Combine these two incredible offers and save big on your McKelvey home. But hurry, this rare opportunity won't last long. Visit McKelveyhomes.com.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This month, we are focusing on prostate cancer, and joining me is Dr. Vikas Prasad.
At the Siteman Cancer Center, you are taken in hand, right from the first stage of the diagnosis until even in the advanced stages, where we can sometimes offer you some very advanced level clinical trials.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Attention veterans and active military. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is doubling their usual veterans discount on all products and services in November. That means veterans and active military get 10% off all month at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, 10% off all doors, openers, and any service or repair. Details on their website. Schedule your annual garage door tune-up before winter really sets in. Just call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Berry. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession. It's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too. to help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose. Paid for by Bayer.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Welcome back to the show. Great to catch up with Josh Schertz right there. That was fun. SLU coach with us. We have a good time calling those games on FanDuel Sports Network Midwest. Of course, KMOX is the home of the Billikens. Bob Ramsey, Earl Austin Jr. on the call. Troy Robertson and I have that. That's fun. We have had a good time with those. And we also had Tom Hart on the show a little while ago. Love catching up with Tom, the voice of SEC football on the SEC network. And he has been really great to work with on this show, coming on quite often to join us. I hadn't talked to him, though, in a while. He also did some baseball and a lot of other things going on. So he's a talented individual. Good to talk some college football with him. If you want to go back to either of those, the reason I bring it up, if you want to go back to either of those, you can just go to the Odyssey app right now. Rewind. Schertz was at 10:33, and Tommy was about 10:16. We'll have him posted on our Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast page. Now to the Blues, who won last night 3-2 in overtime. First, a shout out, Trent Frederick, St. Louis kid, scored both Boston Bruins goals. And he's got a great family. Trent is a big physical player, but he scored both goals for the Bruins, and congratulations to him on that. But the Blues got the win. 3-2, they go up to Boston. They will always be linked with the Bruins, having beaten them in Boston for the Stanley Cup 5 years ago. And this time, Braden Shen, who knows a thing or two about that, got the job done. An overtime tally, 3-2. And this was really not just that, but a good overall game for the Blues, who have played rather poorly over the last few weeks. Here is Schenner visiting with the media after his win, a 3-2 overtime winner. Good to hear Braden Shen with a smile on his face and a smile in his voice after a win 3-2 in overtime over the Bruins, because Schenner has been very critical of his teammates and of himself, and basically calling them soft and saying that they weren't able to complete a game and that they were letting things get away. And it was not like the Blues that anybody expected to see. Thought this team would be fast and tough and a little bit better than last year's team. That was the team yesterday that the Blues hoped to put on the ice. It was a complete victory for them. 3-2 over the Bruins. They will have a tough challenge today. They're going to be taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina, one of the best teams in the league. Again, they are 12-4 right now, knocking on the door of the top of the Metro Division in the Eastern Conference. So we'll keep an eye on that game. We'll be back after the news on KMOX.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
What do you call the NordVPN Black Friday deal, huh? The Block Friday deal. Because you block online threats. Black Friday, Block Friday. Get it? It's hilarious. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal and block online threats now. NordVPN will encrypt your online traffic. Its threat protection pro tool will defend you against web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. Get the special Black Friday deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
As we approach the holidays and the end of the year, no one wants to miss out on any holiday activities. Here's some important information from audiologist Dr. Colleen Bosler.
Have you heard of people skipping social events because they can't hear? Or sometimes you yourself may think, I'd rather not go to that restaurant because I won't be able to hear anyone anyway. These are things that we have heard at the Audiology Center. We want to tell you that this is why we do what we do. We love bringing family and friends back together. Our hearing aids are designed to reduce background noise and enhance the speech in front of you. People no longer have to avoid social gatherings because they now are able to hear and participate in conversation.
Don't miss out on any activities with family and friends this holiday season. Contact Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. 3 St. Louis locations. 636-441-7470, the Audiology Center STL.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535, 800-511-3535, or biglou.com.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, St. Louis.
This is KMOX, the trusted voice of St. Louis. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Heather Bosch. Some of President-elect Trump's picks to his administration are raising eyebrows. But on Fox News Sunday, House Speaker Mike Johnson says he supports the president's choice for Attorney General.
The reason that Matt Gaetz is such an exciting pick to so many people is because he will go in and reform the Department of Justice. It desperately needs it.
Gaetz was accused of sex trafficking, but no charges were ever filed. Trump is also selecting veteran and Fox contributor Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, who's seen as sympathetic to Russia, to key positions. CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd.
President-elect Trump's intended nominee for the Secretary of Defense and the Director of National Intelligence raised real questions about whether they will be able to manage these critical departments and entities.
Trump appeared at an event in New York last night. CBS's Bradley Blackburn.
Before his return to the Oval Office, President-elect Trump arrived at the Octagon, sitting ringside for a UFC event in Madison Square Garden, along with Kid Rock and Elon Musk. In the same arena where he hosted a controversial October campaign rally, Trump was joined by some of the faces he wants in his new administration.
Also joining Trump, Robert Kennedy Jr., his nominee to run Health and Human Services. President Biden heads to Brazil today.
The president will take a tour of the Amazon, including an aerial tour of the rainforest. After that, he travels to Rio de Janeiro to participate in his fourth and final G20. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says there's a lot on the agenda.
Debt sustainability for low and middle income countries, mobilizing finance for infrastructure, physical, digital, energy infrastructure around the world.
In addition, Sullivan says the major geopolitical issues of the day will be discussed, including Ukraine and the Middle East. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
More Israeli airstrikes have hit Gaza, the latest from the BBC's Frank Gardner.
The civil defense said an airstrike in the Burej refugee camp in central Gaza killed at least 10 people, with others killed and injured in Rafah. In a later incident, a multi-story building housing dozens of Palestinians was struck in Beit Lahia in northern Gaza. Israel says it is targeting cells belonging to Hamas.
A new analysis shows it takes Americans 50 hours of work a month to pay the rent.
The people right now who are paying less than $1,000 on rent, they're people who have been in their apartments for a long time. Only 7.5% of the listings are below $1,000.
Chen Zhao was an economic researcher at Redfin in Seattle. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 11:03, we have mostly cloudy skies and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. Good morning, I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story this hour, a Clayton attorney will be part of Donald Trump's new administration.
Will Scharf, a former candidate to be Missouri's Attorney General, has been selected to serve as an assistant to the incoming president and as a White House staff secretary. Previously, Scharf was a personal attorney for Trump. He is also a former federal prosecutor. He ran in this past summer's primary to be Missouri's Attorney General, but did not win. His LinkedIn profile shows he graduated from Harvard Law and is employed by the James Otis Law Group in Clayton. The firm was founded by lawyer D. John Sauer. He was recently nominated to be the U.S. Solicitor General by Trump. Julie Carpenter, KMOX News.
The U.S. Justice Department is demanding records related to the shooting of an African-American woman in Illinois who was killed by a white sheriff's deputy. The feds want to know more about how local authorities in Sangamon County treat Black people and also people with behavioral disabilities. The review is related to the July death of Sonia Massey, who was killed when deputies responded to a call for a possible prowler at her Springfield home. Earlier this week, a group of aldermen in St. Louis introduced a bill to allocate the Rams settlement money all at once. The president of the board pushed back.
In a scathing rebuke, Aldermanic President Megan Green said the bill and its sponsors don't understand city government, and it subverts the public input process the aldermen agreed to. However, Green has already begun working on her own Ram settlement allocation bill before the public input process has concluded. I asked her what the difference is.
The key is taking what we have been hearing through these public comment meetings and making sure that that is being what's centered in the development of a bill. Board Bill 131 did not take into account what we have heard over the past year from residents.
Green has said her legislation will set up an endowment the city can draw from over decades to unlock more money as a local match for state and federal grants. The other bill was not assigned to a committee by Green, which co-sponsor Kara Spencer called frustrating. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The current Missouri governor and the incoming one both believe a pair of pro sports teams won't be crossing state lines. Kansas has been pushing to lure the Chiefs and Royals across the border, but Governor Parson tells Fox 2 Missouri will offer competitive incentives for the franchises to stay put.
The hype about Kansas, them offering all this, really, they got a bunch of little fancy words for their packages, but it's not much different than ours.
But Governor-elect Mike Kehoe tells Fox 2 any packages offered to the Chiefs and or Royals should do right by the taxpayers.
Whatever we do has to be a good return on taxpayer dollars. I've been very consistent in saying that I'm not a fan of spending taxpayer dollars on stadiums.
Kehoe says voters approving sports betting in this month's election is also part of the teams remaining in Missouri. Your weather forecast, 66 this afternoon. There's the possibility of a light shower. Kind of the same thing for tomorrow, a little warmer, 68 degrees, and a passing shower here or there. Tuesday, upper 60s as well. Then Tuesday night, the cold front comes in, and we're into the 40s for the rest of the week. Right now, it is 56 degrees, cloudy skies downtown. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
And a key block by the left guard, Tom Ackerman. And right here, let's go downstairs to Bonnie.
Marv, if you remember that big run Robert Holcomb had on the first drive, one of the guys responsible on help busting him loose was Tom Ackerman.
Tom Ackerman up front, and this is a unit that has played very well. A good night for Eddie George. 21 carries, 74 yards. The left guard, Tom Ackerman, with the block that set him free. It's a first down.
I wish I could clear some space like that. The great offensive lineman, Tom Ackerman. This is time for NFL picks. I went 5-7 last week, James. Didn't love that. Didn't hate it necessarily. I'm sorry if anybody picked all dozen and ended up losing a little bit. But 5-7 is not horrible. It's not great either. I've been really good, I think, for the most part this year. My best week, I went 10-2-1. The following week, I went 10-3. NFL picks, time to step it up. Let's go. Kansas City, Buffalo. That's where we're going to start. That's the game on KMOX at 3:25. The Chiefs going into Buffalo with a record of 9-0, and the Bills are 8-2. Best start for them in 30 years. If they win this thing, they'll be 9-2. And I think they are going to win this. And they're favored, and I think they're going to cover. I think the Bills are going to win this football game. They're a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going Bills minus 2.5 today against the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go to the noon games. Jacksonville at Detroit. That game is going to be a lot to a little. The spread is enormous. Biggest spread I've seen for an NFL game in some time. 14. The Lions minus 14 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you know what? I think they're going to cover it. The Lions are the best team in the NFL. They do not care. I just said it. You heard me right. The Lions are the best team in the NFL, even though the Chiefs' record says otherwise. I really like this Lions team, and I think they're going to cover 14. I can't believe I'm giving you 14 points, Jacksonville, but I'm doing it. Minnesota and Tennessee, the Vikings are 6-point favorites on the road. Be careful here now. Vikings did not play a great game. They won it. They snuck it out in their last game. But I'm going to take them, -6 at Tennessee. I think the Vikings have a good day today. Vegas at Miami. This Dolphins team is coming on. And I would take them in any sort of a lock pool, no doubt about it. -8 is kind of rough, though. And I'm going to go Raiders +8 at Miami, making this thing ugly and close. The Raiders are 0-4 against the spread at home. The Dolphins, I should say. They're at home. 0-4 against the spread at home. When the Dolphins, as soon as I think they're great, they stumble. But they are playing really well right now, even with a record of 3-6. I've got them winning this game, but not covering. I'm going Raiders +8 today. The Rams at New England. This is kind of an ugly game in my estimation. The Rams are a 4-point favorite at the Patriots, who just beat the Bears 19-3. What, the Rams are going to go in there and shove them around after the defense that they're playing, albeit the Bears are bad? I'm going to go Patriots +4 at home against the Rams. Cleveland at New Orleans. Boy, the Browns fell fast, didn't they? They're 2-7. New Orleans is a 1.5 dog at home. This Browns team isn't that good. I'll go New Orleans plus 1.5. Baltimore at Pittsburgh is a heck of a game. That one goes at noon today. And the Steelers are a 3-point dog at home. Give me the Ravens bouncing back and reestablishing themselves as one of the best teams in the NFL. They are looking good right now. They beat Cincinnati by a point. They hammered Denver the week before that. They lost at Cleveland on October 27th. They are starting to bounce back and look very strong. I've got them -3 at Pittsburgh today. The other noon game is Indianapolis at the Jets. Jets are a 4-point favorite at home. Oh, I hate that spread, but I'll do it. I'll do it. Jets -4 at home against the Colts. These are the 3 o'clock games. Atlanta at Denver. Broncos, I'll take a -2 at home against the Falcons. Seattle at San Francisco. Give me Niners -6 with a healthy Christian McCaffrey. They'll continue to play better. The Niners are only 5-4. You know, they got to get it going here. Kansas City at Buffalo, I already gave you. I got the Bills -2.5. Cincinnati at the Chargers. Give me Bengals all day, +1. And Houston at Dallas. Boy, do the Cowboys stink. They're a 7-point underdog at home against the Texans. And 7's a lot. And I'm still going to take the Texans. -7 on the road at Dallas. There you go. NFL picks. 11:12 is the time. We are going to be joined on the line momentarily by Larry Fitzgerald, one of the greatest receivers in the history of the NFL. Why is he joining Sports on a Sunday on KMOX? Because we're talking football, but also because he is receiving a Musial Award on Saturday at Stiefel Theater. Larry Fitzgerald next.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Nobody wants a surprise in their jelly donut. It's toothpaste? That's because the middle is the most important part. At Graybar, we're at the middle of electrical and datacom jobs across the country, connecting installers, facility managers, and business owners with smart solutions for their most challenging projects, which means stocking and delivering crucial products on time and on budget with no surprises, thanks to our nationwide logistics network. Yep, Graybar does that.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This month, we are focusing on prostate cancer, and joining me is Dr. Vikas Prasad.
A treatment plan for you is very much dependent upon the stage in which your disease is diagnosed. So you really have to speak to your urologist or your oncologist to see whether the disease is primarily localized in the prostate.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. We've negotiated over $5 billion in settlements. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. We've won millions for victims of truck accidents, drunk driving crashes, and workers' compensation. Call Onder Law, 314 or 618-9-million. That's 314 or 618-9, all zeros.
When you want to make junk disappear, leave it where it is. I've got a partner who lives down the street from you, and we're anxious to come to your rescue. It doesn't matter what we have to climb over, walk through, or move out of the way. All you have to do is point.
We make space for possibilities.
We'll find a new family who'll love the items that still have value, even if it is sentimental value.
There's someone out there who will love it, and we'll find them.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
You're going to be amazed at how fast we get there. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Welcome back to KMOX. It is 11:16. The Musial Awards will take place this Saturday at Stifel Theater. Showtime 7 p.m. It's a live show that they edit into a 1-hour special that airs on CBS December 29th. Still a very limited number of tickets are available at MusialAwards.com. Bob Costas is receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. Billy Crystal will be interviewing him on stage. What a neat opportunity to see those two. One of the greatest in the history of television, one of the greatest in the history of film. You also have Salvador Perez is going to be there, Salvi from the Kansas City Royals, and another great athlete in Larry Fitzgerald. He is receiving the Musial Award for Extraordinary Character, one of 2 special awards bestowed at the Musial Awards. He was a phenomenal wide receiver in college at Pitt. I remember it well. And he was drafted 3rd overall by the Arizona Cardinals in 2004, went on to a terrific career in the NFL. 11-time Pro Bowler Larry Fitzgerald joins us now on KMOX. Larry, thank you for doing this. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm so honored to be coming to St. Louis and receiving the Musial Award. It's Fans for Excellence. If you think about the legacy that Mr. Musial has set, the standard is so high, and to be able to come and be recognized for some of the things that I've done, all they do fall in comparison to the achievements that he's had, but it's still great to be recognized.
You know what's really neat about it is Stan Musial was a Cardinal for life, and so were you. He played 24 years in Major League Baseball. You played all 17 of your NFL seasons in Arizona with the Cardinals, and I know that that was very important for you, wasn't it? And why did you decide to do that and stay with one team?
Well, yeah, I would say it's pretty similar to, you think about Mr. Musial and what he's been able to accomplish on the diamond, but I think it pales in comparison to what he was able to accomplish in the community, and how he's just so revered and respected in that community there. And that's pretty similar to how I was hoping to, be able to get down with my career and still be a person that the community can count on and depend on. And that's one of the main reasons I always wanted to stay in Arizona.
You are receiving the Musial Award for Extraordinary Character. This is for remarkable class, perseverance, and overall sportsmanship. Receiving this honor, respectful of opponents and officials, a selfless teammate, never one to showboat, and Fitzgerald, most deserving of this recognition. That is from the Musial Awards, and I couldn't agree more. In fact, what's interesting is this is full circle for you. Having covered the Rams in the NFL for a long time, I got to see the start of your career. You had your first game and catch here in St. Louis, September 12th, 2004. What do you remember from that day?
Yeah, it was a good day. We didn't come out with the victory, but it was a good day. Kind of coming off, all the hype and bail to come out and have a good day, individually, statistically. But that was my first chance now to go compete against a Hall of Famer and Aeneas Williams, and it was a great day. Torrey Holt took us apart. Steven Jackson and Marshall Salker were getting after us, but it was a fun day to be out there and playing and living your lifelong dream. I got to push back a little bit on. They were very kind in how they introduced me. I think there's a few officials that might say something different. I kind of argued a few missed pass interference calls, I think, over the years.
That's great. Well, look, that's the thing about football is you don't know until you put that helmet on and you're out there. It is the heat of the moment. Things do happen, Larry. I did want to ask you about that. What is sportsmanship to you? Because Larry, you get hit, you see a bad call, you have something that goes wrong. How do you keep your character strong? How do you make it through those moments?
I mean, I had disagreements like anybody else had with officials. I see it differently than them, but there's a way to do it. I'm not going to go yell at them, use profanity, and say horrible things. I'm going to say, hey, Bob, look, I think you might have missed that call. This is what happened. And then when you talk to people like that and you communicate, you usually get good feedback, and they give you the benefit of the doubt when you come to you're respectful. So I just try to make sure that I did that all the time. Those guys are doing the job. We all have a job to do. Defensive backs I'm playing against, the defensive coordinators and the head coach, the teams that we play against, we all have a job to do. But at the end of the day, we're all living our dream and doing something we really, really love to do. And I was always aware of that.
Does that come from parents as well, Larry? Yeah, your upbringing, your dad, for a long time, sports writer in Minneapolis, your mother, who died so tragically in 2003. But is that part of your upbringing, those two, teaching you those things?
Well, I think it's a little bit of nature and a little bit of nurture. I was blessed to have some magnificent parents and relatives, teachers, and guidance counselors. Then I also had some unbelievable coaches who, from a very young age, at 7 years old, instilled, hey, we're going to win and we're going to lose with class and dignity. We're going to be respectful of our opponents, and most importantly, we're going to respect the game. Because if you respect the game will respect you. And I learned that at 7 years old at Martin Luther King Park, with Coach Don and Coach Frank. They weren't going to tolerate any disrespect to the game of football, and that's kind of how I always wanted to play the game.
The previous winners of this Extraordinary Character Award, Tamika Catchings, Bubba Wallace, Sister Jean, Adam Wainwright, Warwick Dunn, and now Larry Fitzgerald. You also, not only have you been so strong in the community, but you have started a foundation that does so many different things for the community, not only in Arizona, but elsewhere. You promote numerous causes, don't you, through your foundation? So you not only have helped certain people close to you, but you've helped people that you may never meet, Larry, just having your influence on everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think as an athlete, you have an interesting platform where people allow you to speak on issues and things of that nature that pertain to a wide array of different, philanthropic endeavors. And so, my mother was in the nonprofit space as a child, so being around her and seeing how she was able to touch so many lives of people, and HIV and AIDS and breast cancer in particular. And I was always just, I was so honored to be associated with those organizations. And I knew once I had the ability to do it on my own, that I wanted to make sure I continue to, honor her legacy. And, we've been able to do that for the last 20 years. And God willing, we'll be able to do it, for the next 20 years and longer.
You also founded Larry Fitzgerald Enterprises, investing in companies and organizations that enrich lives. Tell me about your goals there in fostering a healthier planet.
Yeah, I mean, we only have one, and if we don't take care of it, it's going to definitely shorten the lifespan. And I just want to be people to be aware and thoughtful in how they move, and that's a huge part of the initiatives and the way I've thought about my investments and times that I've spent. It's just about making the world a better place and encouraging and uplifting the people that live in it.
Yeah, I'm sure you look forward to being backstage with some of those big names, Bob Costas, Billy Crystal, Salvi Perez, the longtime All-Star. And equally, I think they'll be thrilled to see you walk into the room before you all take your seats. Pretty neat event, isn't it?
It is. I'm not going to be too excited to see Salvi. He's punished my Minnesota Twins, a few too many times over the years. So I probably will be a little cold shoulder to him. But besides that, everybody else, I'll be really excited to see.
It'll be great. Where do you make your home these days, Larry? And do you pay? Are you involved with the NFL pretty closely?
No, not at all anymore. I just watch it as a fan, and still pulling for my Arizona Cardinals and my Vikings. I was a Viking ball boy for a long time, and still pulling for the Minnesota Twins and Diamondbacks. I kind of have I go back and forth between Minneapolis and Arizona. I like to spend the winters in Arizona and the summers in Minnesota.
Yeah, it makes sense. I actually root for, now that the Rams aren't here and St. Louis doesn't have an NFL team, I don't have a team anymore. So I actually root for the teams that haven't won. And the Vikings are on my list. I mean, not to mention Arizona. I think that's a good pair of teams. I think some St. Louis fans still have a heart for that Cardinal logo and what that meant. But do you feel that way, Larry? I know those two teams in particular, but I always do. I kind of migrate towards the teams that haven't won and wonder what that would be like.
No, I never really do that. I always I like the teams that have had. I like the St. Louis Cardinals. People who have been able to have sustained success for a really, really long time, because that is so much more difficult than losing, and not having success. So I admire what it takes, having not won a championship and, had a lot of losing seasons. I understand, how difficult it is to be able to have that type of success for a long time. And so I'm the opposite. I like the teams that are able to do it at a high level for a long time.
That's a great way to look at it. That's the hardest thing to do in sports, and in particular football, is try to sustain winning. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't happen. Like when you do see it for a long period of time, there's a couple. You look at Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, right? Two Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame quality people able to work together, to have something really successful. You look at what David Robinson and Tim Duncan and George Popovich have been able to do, or Phil Jackson with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and like these great connections that they just don't happen very often. And so when they do, it's you're kind of on borrowed time because it's not going to last.
That's an excellent way to look at it. Stand back and enjoy that as somebody who grew up admiring Michael Jordan and, Nick Saban, somebody I look up to always. And he said it himself. The hardest thing easily to get your team motivated is after a win over a loss. No doubt about it. Yeah.
I mean, you're a journalist. And so I just think as a society in sports, people are always, they're so intrigued and enamored by what's next, as opposed to like being where your feet are and enjoying how good it is at the time you have. So I'm kind of old school in that. I really appreciate greatness.
I love that. And I feel the same way, although I still would be interested to see what it would be like in Minnesota if the Vikings pulled it off, but we'll see. Larry, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for this. And I can't wait to see you on Saturday. We'll be visiting briefly before you head out on stage and visit with the fans. It is going to be on Saturday, November 23rd, Stiefel Theater. Still a handful of tickets available. It will sell out. The Musial Awards in downtown St. Louis, and Larry Fitzgerald receiving an award, a Musial Award for outstanding, extraordinary character. We look forward to it very much. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to meeting you in person on Saturday.
Same. One of the great receivers in the history of the game, Larry Fitzgerald, with us on KMOX. Quick timeout. John Mozeliak, Cardinals president of baseball operations, joins us next.
St. Louis, there's something new and fresh for sports fans at midday. The Gas House Gang has arrived. Every weekday at noon, join insiders Tom Ackerman, Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, and Bernie Miklasz as they break down the latest Cardinals news with analysis only true experts can bring. Catch the Gas House Gang live on the KMOX YouTube channel and KMOX Sports on X. And if you miss it, tune in for the replay every weeknight at 8, only on KMOX, your home for Cardinals baseball. KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
With the new year, it's time to make sure you have the best vision for 2024. That means scheduling your annual eye exam with Ophthalmology Associates. Call 314-966-5000.
I don't know how to ask.
They know what sounds are funny.
Or what smells are funky.
That's right. No one knows their furnace like they do. So go ahead, ask.
Okay. Is your furnace funky?
If it is, then make but one call.
And Jerry Kelly will be there the very next day.
Call anytime, 8 to 8, 8 days a week.
And Jerry Kelly will fix your furnace or install a new one the very next day.
JerryKelly.com. Honey, bags are packed and in the trunk. Is the car good to drive to Mother's holiday dinner?
Yes, dear. Car's good. We have Ox Car Care for their extended car service plan. Ox covers our repair bills if anything happens.
We have no worries if any problems come up on our holiday travels. Ox Car Care has our back.
I remember, Ox has flexible coverage plans that can protect issues with engine, transmission, brake systems, and so much more.
Yep, we don't pay. Ox pays. Ox gets it fixed for us. Joe at the auto shop says Ox Car Care pays them directly, and there's no complicated paperwork. Ox is A+ rated, with already millions of dollars paid out in claims.
Right, they handled our claim from start to finish, unlike those other companies. Good call. The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill this holiday. The only thing now is, which pie is Aunt Martha making?
Drive with absolute peace of mind this holiday season. Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-221-6319. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox today. 800-221-6319. 800-221-6319 or oxcarcare.com.
California Psychics is the real deal. They helped me out, totally changed my attitude, totally got me psyched to start my business and take a new path in my life.
At California Psychics, customers like Jeremy trust us to connect them with only the best. In fact, we reject 98% of the psychics who apply to us. So we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free.
I felt like she really kind of made a connection with me. She knew something about my personality, knew a little bit about me. Now I'm really confident about getting out there and just getting it done.
Right now, new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. That's a real deal you don't want to miss. So join Jeremy and experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com. Get insights on the go. Download the California Psychics app today.
This holiday season, the Dave Glover Show is excited to partner with Hardee's and Operation Food Search for their holiday food drive. While supplies last, stop by any metro area Hardee's and make a donation of at least $1 to benefit Operation Food Search and receive a limited edition DGS holiday bumper sticker. All donations will benefit Operation Food Search to help children and families facing food insecurities. Get all the details now about the campaign, or if you want to make an online donation, head to the KMOX.com events page now.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to be able to visit with the great Larry Fitzgerald. You can hear that interview on our Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast page, and you can hear this now live. It's the Cardinals president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, with us. Good morning, Mo. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you?
Doing great. Always great to chat with you. Well, here we are, November 17th, and the offseason is ramping up in Major League Baseball. Where do the Cardinals see all of this right now as you start to head into this free agency period? One thing that you and I have always agreed on, this is a rule that you go by. You don't talk about free agents. Of course, you understand that. But just in general, watching some of your players become free agents, you've been doing this a long time, as have I for that matter. But, you know, the emotion, having to take that out, that's hard to do as a human being. I know that you spend a lot of time around people, and these are families and people we're talking about. It's hard to say goodbye sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of an awkward question because, you know, you obviously can't get in specifics of relationships and with everything going on, people that have my job, you're just not allowed to talk about that type of thing. But, you know, from a very high level, of course, you get to know people, they become your friends. And, you know, in this business, there are times where you say goodbye, maybe a little sooner than you wanted to. But in the end, in this type of industry, you're always saying goodbye at some level, whether it's a player retiring, a player moving on, whether it's via trade or via free agency. So that's just kind of part of it. And that's the tough part about, you know, this job. You know, you're dealing with people and emotions. And so hopefully people end up in the places they want to. And in the end, it all works out.
Yeah, you never have the same roster from year to year. Totally understand that. You never have the same clubhouse look from year to year. You're always moving players in and out in a variety of different ways. When you look at the 2025 team, what do you want the identity to be? What are you trying to shape here as you head into this upcoming season, knowing, of course, that you've made the public statement that you want to redevelop this player development system?
Well, I really hope the identity of this club is it's a younger, athletic, entertaining, fun to watch team. You think about a lot of the names and faces on this club. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for guys to really establish themselves, and if they do it well, it could be very exciting. So that's what you're ultimately hoping to see.
Mason Wynn is one of those names who's established himself with the first full year. When you look back at Mason's progression, what do you see there? He seems to be kind of the model of what you're trying to do here with the rest of these young players.
Well, I think the thing that his biggest takeaway from 2024 was he really got to understand what this league's about, how you have to always be making adjustments because teams are going to try to figure you out, and they're going to be aggressive doing it. And if you have holes, they're going to expose them. And for him, just to see what he was able to accomplish on both sides of the ball was exciting. And ultimately, I think that's what he's going to build on. But when you watch him and get to see him, I mean, you can see why we're so excited about him. Just uses athleticism and, plays with a real high energy.
How do you see second base right now, knowing, of course, that J.J. Weatherholt, a very exciting prospect, is on the way eventually? But you seem to have a lot of options at second base if you want him. Do you like that as it stands right now?
I do. I think, ultimately we do have to filter through that and decide who we want to give the majority of that playing time to. But I do feel like having some flexibility going into next year is helpful.
Is Weatherholt what you thought he was going to be when you drafted him? The kid's got some serious skill.
He really does. It's such a unique place for us to draft, so it's kind of fun to be in that top 10 for once, and just to watch him play this past year at the Palm Beach Club. He's actually playing a pretty good short, but obviously likely have to move off that if Mason's still around. But I think like the offensive side of him, he's just a pure hitter, and he's one of those kind of guys that can use the whole field and has quiet power. So he's a talent.
Yeah, you and I have talked about how we watched the playoffs, and these teams were moving runners. They're making contact. They're putting the ball in play. That seems like a recipe for success. While at the same time, you do want some power in your lineup. So there has to be a bit of a balance there, doesn't it? How do you see that, Mo? Kind of how the philosophy of putting offense out there has changed through the years.
Well, I definitely feel like in the last, 15 to 20 years, there's been such an emphasis on slog. But I do feel like the game where you have speed being brought back into it, stolen bases, and even, the sacrifice bunts, you're seeing a little bit more than you have in recent years. So, having a team that can score runs in multiple ways is probably your greatest asset. So having that balance between some guys that can hit the ball in the ballpark, but then guys that can hit doubles and put ball in play, I think is something that from a fan standpoint, it's just fun to watch.
You do have some athleticism and excitement, as you talked about some of your philosophy there and the identity of the team in your outfield. Lars Nootbaar, of course, fits that. Michael Ciani fits that. I think Jordan Walker, we've talked about him a ton, what he has kind of in his arsenal that could get unlocked. I'm curious your thoughts on Victor Scott and what his season was like from your perspective. Started out, had to scramble and make this team after Dylan Carlson gets hurt. And then how did you see the season flow for him?
Well, I definitely felt like it was not a great offensive year for him. I felt like he just didn't get the opportunities that you may have hoped for. But I do feel like from a defensive standpoint, he has a chance to be an elite defender. And I do think he is evolving as an offensive player. So really it comes down to just being a little patient, knowing that he's going to have to continue to grow as a player. And I hope this past year with the up and down really doesn't set him back. I know he's down in Jupiter right now working on some things, and that part I think is really great for his development.
Fun player for sure. Another player I wanted to ask you about that, when I mentioned Wilson Contreras last week, you said we will find some time for Burley. There's an outfielder right there who can also play multiple positions in DH, of course. Alec Burleson, how do you view his 2024 and how that went? And what do you see for him moving forward?
Well, I definitely felt like he emerged as an offensive player. I think the big thing for him is going to be just, really understanding his strike zone. He's one of those guys almost that has that philosophy, thou shalt not let a ball pass him, meaning, he swings a lot. And his in zone, out of zone swing rate's really high. It's something that I think if he really wants to become that elite hitter, that's what he's going to have to focus on. The one good thing about him is he is that rare combination of a guy that can put the ball in play and also hit the ball in the ballpark. So, I think there's a lot of upside for him, and it's exciting to watch.
I do feel like you all challenged him to, in his athleticism, be better. Was it breaking on a ball in the outfield, being a better defensive player? How did he react to that, do you think, defensively?
I think that type of player, you're hoping that you can get to sort of that average level. Maybe the other way to think about it is like, just don't compound mistakes. And for him, he does give you flexibility because he can play on the dirt or he can play out in the outfield. But, I think ultimately that bat's going to be his carrying card.
And then looking at this rotation, I'm assuming because he's under contract, you've got Sonny Gray, you got Miles Miklasz, you got Steven Matz, you got, of course, Eric Fetty, Andre Palante. Michael McGreevy was impressive last year. Where do you see him and what is in front of him in terms of competing for a role on your big league club?
Well, I definitely think he's going to come to camp to compete. I look at him and I think of the success he had in limited exposure at the major leagues, but I really believe that he's someone that should be on our roster come 2025. And, the role is still TBD.
It is TBD, of course, this entire offseason. It has been an interesting ride so far. What is next for you, Mo, as you continue to shape this front office? How does that look as you start to move into the winter meetings, of course, which are, 3 weeks away now, even less than that?
Yeah, these are busy times right now. It's not like our normal type of busy in the sense of, very aggressive, chasing free agents and that type of thing, but still a lot of communication going on with different teams, potentially looking at what trades might look like. But net, it really just sets everything up for winter meetings. So next couple of weeks, we'll just keep trying to explore all those options, and then ultimately, when we get down to Dallas, we should probably have a pretty good idea of what we think the off season is going to look like.
Always enjoy picking your brain on these Sunday mornings, and thank you for the time. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too, Tommy. See you.
You too. John Mozeliak, Cardinals president of baseball operations, with us on KMOX. 11:43. We'll check in with Bernie Miklasz next on Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. Our story is about a people, a city, and a legendary river. It lives in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. It's a story of St. Louis, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Subscribe today at stltoday.com/story.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession. It's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too. To help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose. Paid for by Bayer.
Don't you deserve healthcare you can count on? Well, you can count on United Healthcare with Medicare plans that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. You can enjoy reliable coverage and low out-of-pocket costs with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans. Made for Missouri, trusted everywhere. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. We are thrilled to announce that the Mid-America Carpenters Union is offering up to $10,000 cash to close to all McKelvey homebuyers. Use these dollars for closing costs, upgrades, or buy down your interest rate. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to own a beautifully crafted home with McKelvey legendary quality. Act fast. This offer is first come, first serve. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Woohoo! Another girls' night out. I'm so stressed from shopping. I couldn't find anything.
Have you tried shopping jewelry television, JTV?
I don't know. Everyone in my family is so different.
JTV has thousands of jewelry styles, artisan, diamonds, pearls, colored gemstones, watches, even gift sets. I shop on TV and online.
New JTV customers save up to $40 when you shop jtv.com/radio.
Now, can you relax?
Yes. Another round?
Yes.
I see clearly now, thanks to the doctors, Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, Royer, and Barry. You can too. Go to youridoc.com.
If you're thinking of getting new hardwood, carpet, laminate, or vinyl flooring at one of those big box or discount stores, put it on hold. As in Reinhold. Reinhold Flooring, covering St. Louis and beyond since 1988. Residential or builder, you'll find everything you need in our showroom on Telegraph. When it comes to investing in your home, you want the best in carpet, laminate, vinyl flooring, or area rugs. Put those others on hold with Reinhold Flooring. Stop by Telegraph Road or learn more at reinholdflooring.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Our visit with Bernie Miklasz is sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. They also happen to be the sponsor of the Gas House Gang, which will be back tomorrow at noon on our KMOX Sports social media channels with Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler. I'm Tom Ackerman. Bernie Miklasz will be with us for the four-man crew. Good morning, Bernie.
Hey, Tom. Good to be with you as always. Always look forward to this.
I love these chats.
Yeah, hope your Sunday's off to a great start.
It is off to a great day. I hope yours is as well. Just talked to John Mozeliak. Quick recap. First out of the gate, he said I asked him an awkward question. I love when I have these kind of meetings with Mo. Mo and I go way back, so that's fine. My awkward question was about, saying goodbye to free agents just in general, people that you spent a lot of time with. And he, of course, isn't going to give any names about who those are. We know who those free agents are because they haven't signed with anybody else, so he can't talk about them. But he did acknowledge that from season to season, it's always like that. Like you're always saying goodbye. You never have the same clubhouse from year to year. And I asked him about his identity. How does he want the Cardinals? What does he want this roster to be? He said exciting, athletic, and, something that they can be proud of, basically giving some of these younger players the pathway to succeed, Bernie.
And I'm really good with that. As long as they're consistent in terms of applying it, with some of their decisions on who's in the rotation, who's going to be in the lineup, who's going to get the most playing time, because they will have some competition. So I'll be curious to see if it truly will be open competitions, or maybe, frankly, some of these spots on the team or in the lineup in the rotation are already accounted for, and maybe the competition will not be what we were led to believe it was. But we'll just wait and see. There's no reason to rush to judgment on that yet. But that is one question that lingers with me. But I think Cardinals fans who really try to process all this realize that what they're doing is overdue. They've been kind of in this average, below average level down for a while. And the cycle is repeating itself, and they can't continue to do that. I mean, they have to take long-term action that's going to put them at a higher level. And the long-term action, of course, is completely fixing an outdated, pretty eroded minor league farm system and all the infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, I look at, all-star games, playoff games, these award ceremonies, these lists of players, and I sit here and I'm saying, aside from Helsley and Wynn, I'm saying, where are the Cardinals' young play? Where are the young stars? It just used to be that way. Let's say that the Cardinals start to ramp this up a little bit. Do you identify anybody currently in the system that you believe, from what you've observed so far, could emerge and become that next name?
Well, I think it's natural to look at their top position player prospect, J.J. Weatherholt, and also their top pitching prospect, Quinn Matthews, and maybe their second best pitching prospect, Tink Hence. I did a video on this on my YouTube channel the other day on Friday, and Baseball America and Baseball Prospectus, both looking at the Cardinals' top prospects, are very positive about Weatherholt and Quinn Matthews, both making a contribution in 2025. Baseball America thinks their estimated time of arrival for Quinn Matthews is early in the season. I don't know what exactly early means. Is it sometime late May, maybe something like that, early June, maybe something like that? And Baseball America believes Weatherholt can be here later in the 2025 season. And I don't think that that's, being excessively optimistic. I mean, Matthews was one of the very best pitchers in the minor leagues this past season, and Weatherholt, 7th overall pick in the draft, who's got the most pure hitting approach and hitting production in the entire draft. I mean, I think both of those guys will be on the way to St. Louis soon, and there are some others, but the list must start with them.
Which means that some people are going to have to move out. And listening to Mozeliak in the last segment, free agency is pretty quiet on their end, as you would anticipate. But trades are being discussed, and there are a lot of calls coming in. So someone's going to have to move out if Matthews were to find a spot, or Weatherholt eventually, as they're crowded in both of those areas, aren't they? Rotation and second base.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to add one more thing, and this was touched on by Baseball America and Baseball Prospectus, and I also called a couple of my friends who are scouts, and they all said the same thing about Weatherholt. They all said the same thing in terms of, listen, if the Cardinals trade Arenado, and that's obviously a distinct possibility, they see, and I don't know if the Cardinals agree, they see Weatherholt moving in as their long-term third baseman. Now, moving in when exactly? Because I think we both agree that they want to take a look at, if they trade Arenado, they want to take a look at Nolan Gorman at third base, his natural position. So it'll get pretty interesting because it could evolve into a Gorman-Weatherholt competition. And of course, the Cardinals have plenty of second basemen. So if Arenado is traded, specifically if he's traded, it opens up all kinds of possibilities for that St. Louis infield with guys other than Mason Wynn at short and Wilson Contreras at first.
Yeah, and Mozeliak talking about Weatherholt being projected, as a natural shortstop, and he caught himself and laughed. He said, well, that's not happening. With Mason sitting there, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun offseason. I know that the Cardinals aren't thought of as doing too much, but do you see a scenario where, and I've asked you this before, but it changes week to week, do you see a scenario where they could become at least interesting in the NL Central and maybe even better than they were last year?
Yeah, I could definitely see them being interesting. And I don't know how to set the expectations, as you know, because we don't know what their roster is going to be yet. But I mentioned this on one of our Gas House Gang episodes on KMOX sports.com, KMOXnews.com, and all kinds of other places, including YouTube. I mentioned it last week when we were chatting. I said, the only thing that concerns me is I think they can be improved offensively. I think their rotation will be fine, not great, but fine. But the strength of the team was closing out games, getting late leads and holding on to them. The Cardinals had the tied for the fourth best record in the majors when they had a lead after 7 innings, and they were 44-1 when they had a lead after 8 innings. The point being, if they could get a lead, they put those leads away better than just about every team in baseball. But if you trade Ryan Helsley, we already know that Andrew Kittredge is going to leave as a free agent. We know that Jojo Romero His strikeout rate after the first month, 6 weeks, really tailed off. I'm not sure what's going on there. So my question about the Cardinals being any kind of surprise team really to me is focused on that bullpen. How do you possibly repeat that kind of performance? I think it's going to be really, really difficult. I'm just trying to be realistic here, right?
Yeah, totally. Last minute, your pick today, Chiefs at Bills on KMOX at 325.
I actually think the Bills will get them. The Bills have had good success against the Chiefs in the regular season, not at all in the postseason. But I think they can get them today. I think about 24-20, and we'll see because the Chiefs they've been making a lot of escapes. I don't know that they can do that today unless Buffalo spits it up.
Mizzou couldn't escape South Carolina, Bernie. Just couldn't do it.
There's such a huge difference. I was doing a study on this morning. Such a huge difference in Mizzou, their performance on both sides of the ball based on the quality of competition this season. So Mizzou was not able to move up into that top realm of college football teams in 2024. There's a big time drop off when they're playing ranked teams, winning power conference teams, winning FBS level teams, as opposed to losing or non-ranked teams. It's a huge gap in the performance. That wasn't the case last year.
No, you're absolutely right. Bernie, Miklasz, we're going to have some fun tomorrow in our four-man crew at the Gas House Gang on our KMOX YouTube page. And while you're at YouTube, absolutely must subscribe to the Bernie Show. Bernie Miklasz's YouTube page is awesome. It's like getting a Bernie column right in front of you on video every single time he posts one. It is a must watch. Appreciate you, buddy.
And we have an audio version of that's available at Odyssey.com, like through KMOX.
Mm-hmm.
So if people prefer the podcast version, they got that. Thank you, Tom, as always, buddy. We'll talk tomorrow.
Thanks, my friend. It's always great to hear him on the Odyssey app. It's 11:57. The news is next. Bills and Chiefs 2:00 pregame.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately